So I've always heard about how amazing Yakuza is. Finally, I've decided to just dive in hard, and I'm playing through Yakuza Kiwami right now before I go back to Yakuza 0. And there's one particular moment early on in the game, and I'm only in Chapter 4, but Chapter 3, Funeral Fists, absolutely caught me off guard, and I instantly recognized that I became hooked into this drama and this story.
Kazuma. Oyasu. 10年だ。俺はお前に何もしてやれなかった。
What I really like about this scene is when Kiryu meets Kazuma for the first time in 10 years, you can feel that there's a father-son dynamic at play here. Unless it's actually his father and I misunderstood something. I don't think so. Maybe. Point being, like, there's a real, like, delicacy in this music. It makes you feel like, okay, Kiryu's here. Also, you're also feeling the inherent stress of being at this funeral, which we know is a dangerous thing for him to do. So it's a really interesting dynamic at play here, and I think that the music is very tender in a way too.
全部俺がやったことです。親さんは何も変わらねえな、お前だけは。
And I think that the piano here symbolizes that, like, Kiryu is a really independent, strong person who is always going to end up doing what he wants. He's very headstrong, but he's very passionate and very loyal and very dedicated to his family and his friends and to his, his Yakuza brethren. And I think that the piano represents also this sort of patriarchal relationship that these two have, where there is this sort of bond and, there's a loyalty at play here.
何があったんすか登場会はそれに錦はあったのかあいつにいえ
Yeah, and also it's interesting because the music also connects us to Nishiki and everything that's been occurring with him, and the fact that, like, Kiryu's whole, like, the reason why he went to jail at all was because of that moment that we see earlier. And so, he really stood up for Nishiki, and to see him sort of change so much, and I don't know what's going to happen with Nishiki, please don't spoil it, but there's such an element there of lost him, he's changed so much, and that piano, it's incredible how the piano and how music in video games, and in particular in this one particular scene, can increase and change the emotional intensity based on what's occurring in the moment. It's so interesting because the music hasn't changed, but because of what they're talking about, the contextual relationship with the music and the drama actually heightens and adjusts based on what's going on stage, or in this case in on screen.
あいつはあの10年前の事件からすっかり変わっちまったんだ
Yeah, and I find it interesting that there's a little bit of that, but yeah, and then I think that too symbolizes, like, maybe Nishiki when he was, 10 years ago was a totally different person. There was a little bit more of naivete, a little bit more gentility, and when he says he's changed completely, we hear that but yeah to represent sort of the past Nishiki, right?
妹にお前弓をなくしたあいつはこの世界でのし上がるために手段を選ばなかった俺はあいつが鬼になるのを
And I think that the upper piano there represents the changes that Nishiki's gone under and embracing the demons inside of him and nothing that could be done to stop him. He became sort of deranged and with one pursuit in mind. And that piano, I think, represents the loss that's occurred here. Not just because Kiryu went to jail, but also just the loss of Nishiki, the loss of his, the Yumi, the relationships that he had, sort of this bond that these characters shared sort of become broken. And I love how in the upper register you're really high in the piano, and then you're also in the ostinato and the lower piano you're much lower, and so there's this dynamic of opposition, which is really interesting that I just noticed.
止めてやれなかったんだおやっさんもう一つお前に伝えなきゃならんことがある弓のことだええ行方不明ってそれなんだが弓はおやっさん
And I really feel for Kiryu in this moment because it's like he came to the funeral, he needed to see him and Kazuma, and so you hear the tension as we see the sniper rifle, and just that Kiryu can't catch a break, and there's clearly a plot against him. And I don't know what those details are yet, but point being that it's incredible how the music enhances this moment, and now we have this real intensity because we instantly are already connected to Kiryu, and then we add this intensity in the music, and it's like, shit, man, this guy can't catch a break, and now there's all this drama because it's like, well, is Kazuma dead? You know what I mean? Or what's going on? And I like how now we get this undulating blah 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 blah, which is representing this like the arrival of the other gang members, and also just the fact that again Kiryu cannot catch a break, and like he shouldn't be there anyway. It was already a dangerous situation. We knew that as we started. We knew that when we went to the funeral to begin with as players, and now it's like, ah, man, come on, what the hell?
Omae, Kiryu? Oh, なんやお前。堂島の兄の次は風間か。何考えとんじゃ。島野。お前ら。絶対に生きて返すんやないで。
The gameplay of Get Over It is really intense. Obviously, we have to fight our way out of this funeral, but just listen to how incredible this music is, and I think it really highlights Kiryu as a person. Obviously, that's intense. That's a rival. That's a feeling of like, okay, I gotta fight my way out of this shit, right? That strong electric guitar. But what I think is really interesting is how powerful it feels, and how like even though we are about to face insurmountable odds, we won't be stopped. That build up here. And I think that the sharp rhythm there, shum, bum, that's again like, I'm not going to have my back against the wall. I have to get out of here. I have to fight this. But what's really interesting to me about this piece is right here, when we come in with the melody. You pull all that stuff back. What I really love about Kiryu is a sense of will, of determination, of it's sort of like unabashedly himself, right? That particular melody line with the electric guitar really symbolizes the fact that all of this shit continues to go wrong for Kiryu, and yet he's not going to stop because he recognizes that like he is a man of honor, and that he is loyal, and that he believes in himself and in finding out the truth, and in, you know, protecting those that he cares for, especially Yumi and Kazuma. And so I really, really dig this melody line. You know, I think the other stuff is good, and I think it's represented beautifully when it comes to fighting all the guys and doing all that stuff as he's trying to exit the funeral. But this particular moment really, really, really hooked me into Yakuza Kiwami and the general series as well. I finally realized, everyone said the story is so good, but recognizing that the music is playing such an integral part, even though there's not a lot of it, and it's mostly like very intense rock or a sort of EDM synthesized stuff. This particular moment really, really hooked me in with this idea that there is a real stakes at play, and this is a really deeply personal story, but it really does have the quality of pain. And like, you know, I went to the funeral to have a conversation, and now suddenly I'm stuck. And one of the comments actually in this video that Kupaliski said 3 years ago, this song represents the sadness and heartbreak Kiryu feels after returning to see his whole world turned upside down, yet also his determination to save those he loves, is absolutely spot on. And you feel that right away with this melody, and I'll explain why in 2 seconds. Like that right there. Ba da ba ya da 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 da. I think that that's such a nice, beautiful phrase. And what it does is it as it goes up, ba da ba da 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 da. It's a little bookended by a strong tonal center, and then as we go up, there's something about it that inherently gives us a feeling of motivation and a feeling of the way that the electric guitar is playing there in the upper register. It sounds painful, but it also sounds determined, and it also sounds focused. And it's interesting how music creates emotional sound that then we can pick apart and connect to, not only because we see the experience of Kiryu fighting for his life and fighting to get out of this funeral, literally facing like hundreds of Yakuza, but also the feelings in that music are like super obvious. It sounds pained, and yet it sounds like it has an edge of determination, and it sounds like it's focused. It's cool. It's cool how music does this. I also really like how underneath, if you listen one more time, listen to the underneath part of this. You hear that? Bum, 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 bum. That too, that rhythmic propulsion there makes us feel that determination, right? And you have this beautiful melodic electric guitar, but underneath you have those fists. You have that feeling of like, no, I will not be stopped. Bum, 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 ch, bum, bum. I really love this melody, and I'm so excited to keep playing through Yakuza. I just got to the part where we have to help the dog, and I'm meeting the child. I don't know what I feel like the child, maybe Yumi's child. There's a significant moment there. I'm looking forward to touching base with you again, either at the end of my playthrough of Yakuza Kiwami. I made a mistake, and I am playing Yakuza Kiwami, not Yakuza 0. So after Kiwami, I'm going to go back to 0. I know they're the wrong order, but that's okay. Hopefully this was interesting to you. It was interesting to me. I really, really am vibing with this game super hard. It's definitely going to be a series I finish in 2024, hopefully in the next couple months, honestly. So I look forward to talking to you more. If you like this sort of stuff, there's going to be lots more on the channel. There's more videos on the channel about video game music that you should check out. And as always, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later. Bye.